evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Mitchell Ringos. A big decision for City Council Monday on whether to award a tender for the significant reconstruction of core sections of Red River Road and Court Street. The initial estimate of the project was $11 million, but the price tag has now jumped to $13.2 million. The project includes reconstructing the roadways and underground infrastructure. It will also make the area more pedestrian-friendly and better equipped for festivals and events. The city has over $8 million budgeted for the work this year, with applications currently in for provincial and federal funding. City Engineering Director Kayla Dixon says the city has been discussing the project with businesses that could be affected by the construction.
And the businesses have been interested and excited about the project as well when we've been speaking with them. But certainly they are concerned about making sure that they're open during construction, and we will do everything that we can. And we do have a contractor who has worked in our downtown cores and with other business areas before, and is very good at making sure that that access is provided to the businesses.
Also on Monday is a request from Neebing Councillor Greg Johnson for the city to look into a trail network on Mountain Road. The stretch currently doesn't have any sidewalks, with concerns about student safety for those walking to and from Nor'Wester View School. Officials at the Dewdrop Inn are welcoming a new grocery rebate announced in the federal budget. Low-income Canadians will see a one-time boost to their GST rebate checks. The extra money comes during a time of surging demand at the Dewdrop Inn due to rising food prices. The $2.8 billion grocery rebate means an average of $467 for eligible families, $234 for single recipients, and $225 for seniors. The executive director of the Dewdrop Inn, Michael Keebell, says the grocery rebate comes at a good time as they've seen record numbers the past 2 years. But when asked if he believed it would reduce the number of people using the soup kitchen, he wasn't so hopeful.
I think for people that are coming to visit us daily, I think this is a good thing for them because a lot of our patrons are fixed income. Some are living on $100 a month. So especially our seniors, so an additional $225, even if it's one time, is going to be very helpful to them. But it's not a long-term solution. We all know that our dollar just does not stretch as far as it used to, so people on a fixed income are really hurting.
The Dewdrop Inn served a whopping 122,760 free meals in 2022. Local MPP Kevin Holland questioned his government this past week about what the province is doing to bring high-speed internet to rural areas, including the agriculture industry in this region. The question was posed to Ontario Infrastructure Minister Kinga Surma.
That access to high-speed internet services is essential to successfully managing and operating their businesses. Individuals and families living in rural, remote, and Indigenous communities all need internet access for their day-to-day lives to improve access to health care and to keep connected with family and friends. Speaker, can the minister please explain how our government is connecting Ontarians in rural, remote, and northern regions of our province to fast, reliable, high-speed internet?
We as a government recognize how important access to high-speed internet is for everybody, but particularly for the hardworking people in Northern Ontario. This month, we again joined the federal government in terms of announcing $61 million to bring high-speed internet to 16,000 homes in 47 different communities, including 3 First Nation communities. Communities such as Pickle Lake, Iroquois Falls, and O'Connor will now be connected. Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank my Northern members, but in particular the MPP and Minister of Northern Development for his help working with my ministry to address challenges in the North and to make sure that we got it right, Mr. Speaker.
The province's Standing Committee on Justice Policy recently presented a report on bail reform at Queen's Park, responding to the shooting death of a young OPP constable last December. They made recommendations to both levels of government that would make bail harder to access for some gun-related charges and repeat offenders. Kiiwetinoong MPP Saul Mamakwa is the vice chair of that committee, but he has concerns about the process.
The hearings were very limited. It was only limited to 12 hours, and half of which were reserved for, police organizations.
With the overrepresentation of Indigenous people in jails, Mamakwa wanted a greater involvement of Indigenous stakeholders. 3 Indigenous organizations did make statements. Anishinaabe Legal Services, as well as the Congress of Aboriginal Peoples, both warning that some of the recommendations would exacerbate the issue of over-incarceration, while the Anishinaabe Police Service supports the reforms, saying they could save lives. Matt McQuad says he can see both those sides, but that he wants an approach that addresses the underlying issues.
I think we need to be able to invest in, again, upstream on the proper mental health supports, addiction supports, and cultural supports for the people that are coming into the system.
The recommendations include significantly expanding of reverse onus bail provisions and creating a legal definition of chronic offender. Matt McQuad does support one recommendation aimed at ensuring more timely bail hearings. He says he'll also be pushing for increased legal aid funding, and ultimately, he is calling for a more fulsome study on bail that looks at other possible reforms and considers the issue of over-incarceration. 2 local high school students participated in an annual youth gathering in Winnipeg this week. Derek Munius of DFC and Fernando Soto from St. Ignatius High School were 2 of 50 high school students from across the country invited to participate in the annual Rotary Hip Youth to Youth event. The week-long gathering featured a series of facilitated discussions and activities to promote the building of bridges with future leaders who face the challenges of truth and reconciliation between newcomers and Indigenous peoples. Students got to speak with elders as well as participate in various hands-on activities to learn more about Indigenous culture. Soto says being non-Indigenous, she didn't know that much about Indigenous culture before going to the youth gathering, and says connecting and understanding their culture plays an important part in reconciliation.
Being from Thunder Bay, where we have a lot of Indigenous people, I feel it's important to connect and build that relationship between the two, and you only get that through learning about where they come from, their lifestyles and their past, and the history that we have with them. So the only way to build those bridges and that connection between non-Indigenous and Indigenous people is learning and through education.
The CLE grounds were crowded over the weekend for the 25th anniversary Spring Home and Garden Show. Today was the final day, and hundreds of people still came out to see the booths on site. Over the last 3 days, 10 to 15,000 people stopped by the CLE grounds to see what the Home and Garden Show had to offer. There were more than 100 booths featuring everything to do with backyard and home renovations, along with a dozen different food vendors. The event hasn't been held in 4 years, and co-chair Peter Mersch says it's great to see people out and looking at the booths once again.
It's been phenomenal. It's been busy every day. Thunder Bay came through with numbers. People wanted to come out and get back to spring and get back to reality. It's good to be out of that COVID scare, and I think the numbers prove it.
Mersch adds that he can't wait until next year's show and expects it to be bigger and better than this year. The busy hallway at St. Margaret's School was unusually quiet recently, with the sound of stomping feet replaced with soothing music as the school's parent council played host to Kinder Yoga, a new student wellness initiative designed to include parents and offer a chance to build emotional skill sets through yoga. Carl Langdon reports.
St. Margaret's School's Parent Council received funding for their new program through a Ministry of Education fund called the Parents Reaching Out Grant, designed to cover the costs of activities that offer parents hands-on engagement opportunities in their children's education.
I noticed that my child was struggling with her self-regulation, and I figured if she's struggling, other kids are too. So I wanted to bring something where the kids can learn coping skills, and they could also have them practiced at home with their parents.
Principal Ryan Gatto expressed gratitude for the support he received from the Parent Council, who began organizing the event in October.
So it started off in September, and then we had our first Parent Council meeting in October. Lots of support from our Parent Council, and Kristen did an amazing job, and then I just was there to support her along the way and work alongside with her and get this project to life.
Speaking to some of the benefits that Edmonds sought to extend to her daughter's classmates, as well as their parents, Erin May, the owner of the Body Mind Center, described a few of the improvements to health she says comes from incorporating yoga into our routines.
all the children, but a lot of adults I work with too, they sleep better, they digest better, their tummy aches go away, their neck pain goes away, their jaw tension goes away, attention increases, so focus improves, so people are able to get their tasks done, feel better about themselves, feel better about their day.
I learned to breathe in and out.
How does that make you?
Tom.
With schools across the country seeking ways to alleviate and mitigate the ongoing effects of pandemic isolation, St. Margaret's staff and the Parent Council are optimistic about the benefits their new wellness program offers their students. Carl Langdon, TBT News.